Welcome to the Love Now Movement interview series hosted by Australian powerhouse spiritual teacher Susie Mazzoli. Together with a New York filmmaker Kevin Lewis, presents cutting-edge information in the field of consciousness, spirituality, science, and culture. We present in-depth interviews with the international movers and shakers, agents of change, and explore our rapid, expanded world. Come and join us on our Love Now across the world.
James Rink is a very special person, and you will see through his experience that it is a lot broader than what most of us experience in this life. James Rink is a Milab, a military abduction victim. He has experience of being a person who is able to cross time and cross space, and he is someone who is being used by what is called a shadow government and is in contact with what we call aliens. These experiences are not only James's experience. There is a large group of people here on Earth that are having these experiences and have been having them for many, many years. As a part of the disclosure movement, as a part of the truth movement, we feel it is really important to interview these people and let us all know what's really going on. What are all of these versions of reality? What is reality? For each of us, it's very different. Whether it's our religion, our culture, our family that shapes our reality, or whether it's our frequency. There are so many different parallel realities. So we invite you today to listen to this interview with an open mind and with an open heart, and let's all start really expanding our consciousness and understanding that there is so much more to this reality already. So welcome everybody to the Love Now Movement interview series, and tonight we are very lucky to be interviewing a very special person, James Rink. And as many of you know from my introduction, James Rink is an exceptional person. And before we even start, just let me say thank you so much for all the work that you've done in disclosing so much information and for helping so many people and for really putting yourself out there. And it really is. It's a great honor to meet you. So thank you so much. So for
you're very welcome.
Thank you. For our audience, many people will know absolutely nothing about what you're going to speak about. So if I could ask you to just give like a really gentle and generous background to who you are and what you're doing.
Well, I don't even know where to begin. I guess do you want me to talk about the metaphysical side or the supersolar side or just maybe where it all started, I guess, for me?
Let's start where it all started.
All right. Well, I'm pretty much just like, at least I thought I was just like any other guy. I grew up here in North Carolina, and most of us we're highly churched. This whole area is highly churched. It's the highest churches per capita of any city, well, major city in the United States. And so I grew up Southern Baptist, and it was very cliquey within these churches, and a lot of these people weren't very spiritual. They were just going because everybody else went, and so that was my level of spirituality. It wasn't until I guess my early 20s when I started to realize that, well, a lot of the things that they taught us in church just didn't really like make sense, because there were some certain questions that they would never answer or talk about. Like, for instance, they would claim that people that didn't have the blood of Jesus were going to hell, but what about people that have never heard of, like, don't even have access to any kind of internet, radio, or anything? Like, let's just say, like, in the middle of the Brazilian rainforest, some of these ancient tribes, and it just didn't make sense. And then what happens to people that before pre-Christ era, before Jesus Christ? So anyway, so when I started investigating some of the lies I was taught about, well, I guess I can say lies, but it wasn't really more of a lie. It was just like they wouldn't really cover all the topics, and that's what sort of woke me up when I realized reincarnation was real. The early Christians taught in it. It wasn't edited out of the Bible until 321 AD, the Council of Nicaea, and I guess, see, when I was going through church, they would always teach us that you just needed the blood of Jesus and that was it, and nothing else mattered. And then
Do you mean blood of
when
Jesus as in bloodline, or blood of Jesus as in going to church and receiving the blood of Jesus through Holy Communion or
yeah,
something like that?
yeah. Well, I mean, we did communion about once a year, but
Mm-hmm.
it was more like just if you follow this, if you pray the sinner's prayer, you can get baptized, you can go to heaven. But it was like I guess the point I'm trying to get to is that when I was indoctrinated with that, I viewed all the other people that didn't go through that cult and that ritual as not as important or not as an equal to me, because I felt that anybody that was part of this cult was better than everyone else. And then when I realized reincarnation was real, and I realized that all of us are fragments of God, and that even the darkest fragments, Lucifer, is the same fragment of God as, say, Archangel Michael. And I just realized that just everybody's just going through different experiences. Of course, there is good and evil, but
But
the
good
fact
and
that
evil also comes from the same source, correct? It all comes from divine source.
yes, because ultimately we're all trying to see. Well, and now we're still really going metaphysical here about what God is, but well, basically God. See, God is already infinite. He already, or I say he or she, or
It.
whatever you want to define. Yeah, it is already knows everything and has experienced everything, but God hasn't. I'm going to rephrase that. God hasn't experienced the finite. So like the creative moment and the point in our lives where we can have creativity and free will. So God split its soul in multiple ways, and that's why we're all sons and daughters of God, and even the darkest fragments. And then I realized there's no point in judging anyone else, and not only anyone else, any other beings, could be human or extraterrestrial, because we're all the same. We're all just fragments of God, and that just helped open my awareness. Now, okay, so this is kind of like jumping around here, but getting to the point here is like in my mid-20s, I befriended a young individual by the name of Nathan Wilder, and we knew each other. Our level of communication was primarily through internet, but Nathan told me that he had some certain abilities like telekinesis. He was able to read my aura correctly remotely. He would get all these dreams of the future, so I guess clairvoyance and so forth. And so I just joked nonchalantly one day that well, maybe you're a government project. Maybe you're like one of these super soldiers like Andrew Michael Perot, who claimed that he was programmed by the government and had superhuman abilities. And so at that point, Nathan, I guess you could say, like, he had like these splits or his alters of his personality. And this all goes into DID, MPD, mind control, where they would split your mind using trauma. And he had, I think he had about, I think it was 7 alters, maybe 5. I don't remember exactly, but I got to talk to them, and they revealed to me some of the stuff that was going on with him. In particular, he said that the Greys were involved, and well, let me continue. I go under the timeline. He really didn't reveal too much. He gave me some programming, some codes, but he wouldn't like. I only got to see the problem was between the time that I realized what was going on and the time that he sort of went off the deep end. It was only like a week or two, so I didn't really have much time to work with him to figure out who's doing what. But when he started going off the deep end, he started going cuckoo. He claimed that he destroyed the Greys' monetary system. He claims he destroyed 3,400 planets. He said that he was Lucifer in his past life, and that I was one of the Supremes, one of the most powerful beings in the universe. And you're gonna get me? I'm just some other guy on the internet. I was like, what the fuck is he talking? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But it's like, what
can
in the
swear
world
on
is he
YouTube.
saying all this? Okay. Yeah. So it's like it was so bizarre. Anyway, so
So let me
but
just
he
ask you
claims
one second. So
yes.
so when you actually asked him about being a super soldier, you were already informed about super soldiers. You already had some sort of knowledge, because a lot of people, most people in the world, have no idea when we use the word super soldier what that means. So where did you
Okay.
very first even come into contact
Well,
with the concept of super soldier,
yeah.
before Nathan
Well,
even?
yeah. Well, just what I mentioned earlier with Andy Perot.
Hmm.
He was, as far as I know, Andy Perot was like one of the first ones on that's really disclosed any of this information. And regrettably, he didn't really have a support network. He wrote a little ebook around 1998 and released it on the internet. I think you can go look up the Andy Perot story if you
And
want
how
to
did
learn
you
more
even
about
know
him.
about him? Where was it that you were going from
Good
being that
question.
normal life?
I Yeah, well, when I started researching about reincarnation and stuff, I realized there were other websites like David Icke's website. He talked a little bit about the Montauk Boys,
Right.
and one of them claimed to sit in this chair and he can manifest a chest of diamonds, football-sized diamonds, and that was used to finance a lot of the secret governments or the programs, the black op programs. And so they were able to manifest it out of thin air. And that Andy Perot he claimed that he was being used for that.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like I mean I was just kind of reading different things, different stories on David Icke's website, and so I mean I didn't really think my friend Nathan was a super soldier until he admitted that he was. But did that does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. It's just interesting, the
Okay.
progression of coming from your religious background, your, your cultural background, then beginning to question the church, then going to reincarnation, then going to, the wildest of conspiracy theorists, David Icke, and then coming to the place of super soldier.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess I should let me just continue on here with the story just to briefly get through here the
Yeah.
timeline. Okay. Yeah, so I started getting needle marks and cut marks uh right around the time Nathan claimed he activated my DNA. And then that has continued on a daily basis ever since.
And to
And I've got
clarify,
literally
that means that you are
yes.
going to sleep at night and you're waking up with various marks on your body. They just suddenly appear out of
Okay.
nowhere.
No. Yes, but I want to add on to that. It's not just when I sleep. It appears that they can get me anywhere, any place, anytime. There have been times where I was in a hotel room with my family and I woke up with needle marks. There were times when I was on an airplane and I got off the airplane and I had needle marks. There's times I was in a UFO conference and I go to the bathroom, and when I get out of the bathroom I got needle marks and I got little scratches, and some of them are not just needle marks. Some of them look like triangular shaped scabs. One of them, it was kind of funny. It was actually Valentine's Day, I think in 2006. I used to be getting triangular shaped scabs in my nose, but that day I had a triangular shaped one. I'm sorry, a heart
How
on
symbolic.
Valentine's Day.
So
Yeah.
you said they. So if you could just explain to us, in your understanding, who is the they that is doing the needle marks and what's
Okay.
actually happening?
It This took a long time to figure out because there are many different factions and there are many different groups and they all have their own agendas. And it appears, anyway, that many milabs, and milab stands for military abduction, are being used by not only their own star families, but different groups and like double agents and triple agents and so forth. But as far as like a name, I guess we should talk a little bit more about the Nazis that were brought back to this country after World War II, of Project Paperclip. And I know if you go into the Andy Perot material, you can read how he even claimed that some of the people were actually some of these Project Paperclip scientists. Now I think a lot of them are probably dead now, unless they use some kind of life extension technology, which I think they probably have. But they brought these Nazis back to the United States, and then they set up through George Bush Sr. or George Scherf, of course, he was tasked to infiltrate the Republican Party, which really became an extension of the Nazi party here in the United States. But through the Republican Party and also through CIA, which basically the whole CIA was started by a bunch of Nazis, Alan Dulles, Wild Bill Donovan, and George Sherf Bush. They set up this. Of course, they brought all these Nazis into the United States, and through this Project Paperclip. Of course, a lot of like the NASA scientists and I want to make sure I say this right. The Kettering Institute. But anyway, the point is that they set up this network, and it was financed through CIA drug trafficking money, and they built underground facilities using Tesla's technology, like the anti-gravity devices. Well, it's not actually they don't call it anti-gravity. I think they call it like oh darn, I keep forgetting it. Never. But anyway, the point is, I'm trying to say here is that they have access to extremely advanced scalar technology, and they can use it for not only weaponization, but they can also use it for mind control purposes, which is again going into what a lot of milabs is. So, but it appears that going on down the road is that this Nazi faction got a hold of certain extraterrestrial technology through different treaties with certain races of ETs that don't really have humanity's best interest in mind.
And which races?
This again goes with
which races of ETs?
Well, it seems
about?
like it seems like the ones that are connected to the Draco hierarchy, the Orion Prime, where is the Draco homeworld, and there's a whole hierarchy. It's like the albino Dracos control this. They run their society like a fascist state, and they use a lot of mind control on their own people. And so the albino Dracos are the highest, and of course they're winged reptilians, and then underneath them are just the reptilian. It could be white reptilians, or usually royalty, then green, brown colored ones. Then under them they had a slave caste system of grays, or basically robots. They don't really even have. I don't think these grays have souls. Now, I'm sorry, what?
So the winged reptilians, the ones that you're saying they're at the top of the pile in the hierarchy, are they the ones that are represented in the Sumerian tablets, commonly known as the Anunnaki?
Those are probably I don't think that they're the same group. I'm not really an expert on this, and you probably should ask somebody else about that. But I just to continue on here. So these beings gave this group various technologies, and of course they are also tied into the Illuminati and their factions because they have their own programs as well. Of course, and I want to mention that as scary and as hopeless that sounds, the benevolent ETs, the Pleiadians, the Andromedans, they are so advanced. They think all this is so comical. Literally, I mean, some of these Pleiadian light ships are 3 times bigger than planet Earth, and they can instantly travel anywhere in the universe using quantum entanglement. And so when we think about that this shadowy cabal has all this technology, and they use a lot of cloning technology to change out world leaders, and so what they are doing is just diabolical, and most people are just totally unaware. But I guess that was all by design. So, but just understand that the ETs, the benevolent ETs, know everything that's going on, and so everything's going to be accounted for, and these folks are not going to be able to hide in their caves.
And those benevolent ETs are also active on Earth now, active through the systems, actively working with human beings as well.
Well, yeah, I think one of the reasons why we haven't really seen a lot of environmental calamities is because some of these benevolent ETs have their own facilities, bases here, outposts here on this planet, And so this is their home too, and a lot of them have been here for millions of years. They just hiding out underground, but because otherwise they would be killed if they came out, because they look so funny. A lot of them, but some of them look just like us.
So tell me a little bit about the benevolent ones. You mentioned the Pleiadians, and you and I we'll talk about them a bit more, and the Andromedans. Who else are they?
Well, there are some benevolent reptilians that broke off of the faction with the Orion Prime. I was told anyway that I think there's at least 5 races of benevolent reptilians that are not all egotistical into animalistic ways. But the universe is utterly teeming with life. I mean, we could be here for an eternity talking about all the different species. Of course, I don't know all the the ones that are visiting us. The numbers range anywhere between 22 to 60 different races visiting us at this time. But a lot of us are.
I've actually also heard 170,000 different races that are involved with us currently.
That many?
Yeah.
Well,
I think that was channeled information.
Are they actively visiting Earth, or are they just part of the?
I believe that they were involved with us on some level. Yeah, but I mean, if you just think literally of how much life is literally in the Amazon jungle, all of the thousands, hundreds of different and thousands of animals and plants, then to me that makes sense. It doesn't seem like an outrageous number. But I think most people on our planet have not had any contact at all with a race beyond the human race. For them, it's completely outside of their understanding of our world. They believe what's written in the newspaper, what they hear on the news, and it is really outrageous for them even to think that there are, first of all, aliens, and second of all, that they are interacting with us in any way. And this is even in the metaphysical community. So, James, I work as a channel for the Federation of, the Galactic Light Council, and I officially am channeling Pleiadians. So even people that sit in my sessions and listen to me channeling the Pleiadians will completely shut off when I start to talk in any way about super soldiers or the stuff that you have experienced, because that to them is just the edge. It's the edge that they cannot step over. So if I could ask you to just speak a little bit about your personal experience and how you understood what was going on with you, and just sort of give us a place of what you're doing now, or what you understand you're being used for now.
Okay. Well, that was like 2 or 3 different questions in one. I guess the question is,
that was a Pleiadian question.
Maybe like, what? Huh?
I'm joking that the Pleiadians, we have like 3 questions going at once at least all the time, right?
Oh, well, I need to activate my telepathic abilities, and we can have a telepathic communication. Maybe that with the audience too. I guess that would be pretty wild. But I guess as far as maybe like what I'm being used for now, as I was trying to finish up earlier with these different the Nazi factionings go on, it appears that there's certain groups of Nazis who still have that ideology that the Aryan race is superior, but they made different they still follow some of that belief system, and I think that's probably why they're so much into genetics and creating super soldiers. But they work with certain factions of ETs that don't really like what's going on here on planet Earth. A lot of these ETs have been made, of course, like I said earlier, they made treaties with the Illuminati so that these technologies could be released to the public, like cloning technology, free energy, instant healing machines. And these technologies instead are being used to create clones of Obama and parade him into the public as if he's the real thing. And so they're using it for deception and trickery. And so what they've been using, this faction of the Nazis are called the Therians, and they work with certain groups of benevolent reptilians and Greys, probably some other races involved too, and they have taken super soldiers that were working or programmed from the other working for the initially were created by what I guess you could say this different dark cabal, I guess, and they recruited them, so like they're double agents, and now they're being used to recover stolen technology. Like I regress this one individual who recalls a mission where she was taken to Southern California, and she was in this beautifully decorated, elaborate place that had like marble floors and gold gilding on like the railings and stuff. And these people were astronomically wealthy. It was just beyond imagination. And she was inserted, I guess, as a maid or some kind of housekeeper, and there was a girl in this family, and she got a hold of this device of her father's, and she showed it to her, and it looked like a mirror-like device, and she put it on the bed and covered it, like put a sheet over it, and she would play a deck of cards, and the cards were levitating over this mirror. And apparently what this mirror was is some kind of time travel displacement device where they it seems like these groups of cabal families have been abusing time travel technology, sending people back in time to ensure their families' dynasties of wealth. And so who knows? I mean, because from our perspective, we're not real. All we see is history as whatever the history books say. But how do we know history is not being changed constantly all the time, and we're not even totally aware of it, because it's like the timelines are all changing. And we can spend a whole episode talking about that. Like, I have memories of that tank man being run down in Tiananmen Square in '89. I remember seeing blood on the streets on TV, and I was shocked to go on YouTube and see that he was escorted away. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, of course, yeah. So
do you remember him being run over?
I don't remember him being run over. No.
Okay. Some people say Nelson Mandela is dead. Some people say Billy Graham is dead, but he's still alive. So I don't know.
So you find that you're viewing other timelines sometimes?
Well, I know they use super soldiers for time travel. Mm-hmm. I can't really say, specifically was I sent back in this time or that time. I mean, I have this one memory where I was, and it looked like a dark facility. Well, I say dark. It looked like a dark room, about 6 inches of water on the ground, and I was all dressed up in black with a gun and all that, and a little light on top of the gun, and I was told anyway that was a mission to a future timeline in Greenland, where I was taken to Greenland, where I was to recover certain photographs, and that was a timeline where supposedly that had a lot of cataclysms, and that's why there was the room was flooded out. But when I get memories, they are like small fragments. It's almost like a form of astral travel, because I want to explain how this is actually done, because as far as how I'm being used, because during the early generations of super soldiers, what they would actually do is they would recruit, say, people with Native American abilities to say, like, these are Korean war vets, and they would have abilities maybe kind of freeze time or dodge bullets, or like bullets would bounce off them, was probably what I was just say. So, but a lot of them didn't really have super strength, and they were just people had a lot of psychic ability. But going on, they like maybe the second or third gen, they would put wires in their body, enhanced with steroids, nanotechnology came later on. But around the fourth or fifth gen, which is where I came online, they were actually taking ET genetics, creating hybrid children and augmenting them with cybernetics. And then going on into the late 80s, early 90s, they started using what the ETs actually use for their super soldiers, which is avatar technology. They would actually take some of your DNA, and of course they would alter it a little bit, so you would be quite a bit stronger, and whatever they want you to look like, and then they would augment that with cybernetics, nanites, which combined with the codons of your DNA, and they could just flip a switch, and you could either do shape shifting or super telekinetic abilities. So and my physical vessel is not. I don't believe my physical vessel is being used for missions now. Maybe it is. Maybe they have ability to shapeshift me. I don't know, but it seems like most of my missions are being done in an avatar body, where when I go to sleep at night, my consciousness projects. Actually, I don't even think it's when I sleep. I think they can do it anytime, even when I'm awake, which means I've got a lot of stuff going on. But supposedly, your consciousness goes into these avatars, and that you can remotely control them. And they actually they have a special name. They call these beings Cybus and Arbus, is what I was able to figure out. I'm not really quite sure the difference between the two. I think one's just an older model and a newer model, but anyway.
So what I've understood from watching so many of your fabulous videos on YouTube, Super Soldier Talk, is that you are a mixture of Pleiadian and Reptilian. Reptilian for the strength and power, Pleiadian for the intuitive part, and then you were created literally in a test tube and then brought to Earth and placed in a human family?
Yeah, that's pretty close. The only thing I guess I could add to that is, allegedly I was told by I think he was 12-foot tall reptilian named Tian. He claimed that he knew my biological father, and he said that he was a Pleiadian reptilian halfling, and he didn't say who my mother was, but it's probably my Earth mother. And so either way, I believe I have a human mother, so it's like a mix of all that. And so they would insert us babies. I'm not quite sure if they would actually insert us into our mother's womb, and so we were like in vitro, or whether they inserted us later on. But I don't know. Because I don't remember anything from that. So you know. But
what is your earliest memory of this life as you know it?
Well, I have some memories when I was like 3 years old, but nothing. I mean, I don't like recall growing up in an underground base. If that's what you mean.
But you feel, because I know that so many Milab people have implanted memories or all sorts of situations that were given to them. Are you aware of, when was your first awareness moment of what's going on with you?
Well, I would say probably when Nathan said he went into my head and he said he saw a lot of weird stuff. This is right after he started going, well, I say going postal, but
right.
Yeah, he never elaborated like what was going on with me. But eventually, I guess what happened over the years, I was able to talk to like not only military remote viewers, and of course I do my own regressions on myself. But it appears that the benevolent ETs do not abduct people and inject them with drugs all the time, because that violates not only free will and the law of non-interference, and there's really no reason for them to genetically manipulate people, at least not on an ongoing basis like that. I mean, they might do in vitro fertilization, but it's basically it's the negative reptilians working with certain factions of the Illuminati and the Nazi cabal, or Nazi factions. Of course, it's the Illuminati cabal and the Nazi factions working with these negative reptilians and their gray cohorts that seem to be involved in creating what is known as super soldiers of Milabs. Now, the other groups also have super soldiers too. Like the Pleiadians have their super soldiers, I think. At least I could go into different stories about all this, like what happened to my friend Kusal. He claims he was rescued by a group of Pleiadian super soldiers. Well, he said they were blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and he was taken aboard a Pleiadian light ship. But anyway, I'm jumping around here, so I just want to stay focused. So where should we take this next?
So you've had this. All of this has been happening against your will.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It's not something
I'm
that
glad you
you've,
mentioned that
yeah.
because I had a remote viewer like look at my file, and she says that, oh, she saw me one time. Um, they would like they would put papers on me and tell me to sign it, and I refused, so they would just forge your signature. But what difference does it make? They could just take you anyway.
Right.
It's like
Hmm.
there's not really a free will choice here.
Do you think,
Well,
James,
there
that,
actually there is.
yeah,
Huh?
sorry, do you think that there are a lot of people that have the same situation as you going on?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm trying to pull up some information about my file.
Like what number?
Um,
What sort of numbers are we talking about?
Here. Okay, here we go. I got it. I found it. So I had somebody. This She claims that she was in the underground facility and she actually saw my file and she used her photographic memory to recall it. So this is just 2 paragraphs. I'm going to read it real quick. She said I was patient 320 of 720 in Project Surrogate. So about seven. I assume there's 720 people in Project Surrogate. And she says, patient 320, your embryo was delayed so it could be mutated many times. It seemed to be different forms at different times. Your embryo was worked on for a span of 7 years. I see your embryo begin as a fish for a while. You are aquatic like the others. But your main DNA is fish DNA. You are used for Project Seagate. I also saw crocodile DNA. You are an underwater mutant. Crocodile DNA makes you strong, and fish DNA enhances sensory inputs. I also see DNA from Hitler's SS race. The reason you are so weak and fatigued, and she's from in my physical form, is to keep you under control. But you are the opposite when you are activated. They care more about our work in other dimensions. By putting this DNA in us, we can access the abilities from energy waves in other dimensions. So, wrap your mind around that.
So in the understanding of that you're being used constantly, almost or continuously in other dimensions to do other work that's against your will, what would be the purpose of actually keeping you here in human form and keeping you?
Well, I want to mention that
Yeah.
that some of this appears, not all of it is against my will, because there are other groups, other ET races that recruited us. And of course, I don't know exactly what I told these beings, but if you had a choice between working for the Cabal or working for a group of ETs that fight the Cabal, and at the end of the day, your memories are all would have to be wiped. So what choice are you? What's the most? I guess unless you like killing, murdering people, but most of us stars, at least those of us who have a lot of star C genetics, and we're already such a high vibrational frequency, we don't enjoy doing that. And I think that's part of my problem with at least my recall, is that I have the ability to love so much that the fact that I'm being used to exterminate people bothers me so much that I just don't want to remember it. It just scares me so much, and that's something I got to work on.
Have you ever done anything or been assisted in any way by on or off planets to stop the process of you going out and creating death or destruction?
Well, I was told there's a group of reptilians, like going back to Tian. Tian worked with the government to create super soldiers, and he's just a reptilian scientist. And a lot of these reptilians, they have extremely advanced nanotechnology. I don't know what it is with them. They love working nanotechnology and computers and microchips, and it's just whatever it is about them. They love that stuff, and they're the galactic experts on it. So he chose to work with the government, and I guess initially maybe it was just a curiosity. I mean, just imagine if you were a scientist and you had a bunch of lab rats. If you had compassion, you would probably become attached to some of your lab rats, and you don't want to see them get all exterminated. But I guess in a way that's kind of like what he became, and he didn't wanted to see us exterminated. So he tried to help us, and in the process, he got whacked. But I later was told that he supposedly was rescued and now he's back. He said he joined a new tribe called the Spatrones 222. So apparently there's different factions of even reptilians that don't like what's going on, and they want to help us out, which is great, I guess. Wish more would help, but whatever.
But is there anything that you can do that you've found is in any way able to stop the process? Like, are you still consistently being used as far as you know?
Yeah, I think I'm still active. I mean, I know people that are in their mid 40s that are still active. Of course, they're using avatar bodies. They don't really, like I said, they don't need our physical vessels. They just need our consciousness. And, as long as they keep us alive or just going, I mean, they try to make sure we don't really have good jobs or, happy, joyful lives, because they always want us to be down and out so that way we can be easily manipulated and controlled. But, of course, there is a law of attraction. You can step on out of all that if you believe.
Right. And have you actually reached out to the Pleiadian contingent and asked them to block the use of your consciousness? And what did they say to you?
For me personally,
yeah.
Well, I think it appears that there's a certain problem here, because the way they actually program my alters is like an attack dog. And if I was to just start integrating with I call him Mr. Sabretooth, Agent Sabretooth, or whatever the heck supposedly I got in me, I think it's 54363, Gen 5, unit number 4363. But if I was to start integrating with this entity, I would be I guess my personality would become whole, but he's not necessarily a really nice guy. So I don't think they really want me to integrate until the time is right, until maybe the technology's out. And plus, they would just keep the beings that are using me would keep coming back. I mean, they spend billions of dollars to create us, so they don't just want to let us go. So when I say like I said earlier, the Therians are some of the benevolent ones, but it also appears some of the Dark Cabal maybe got their hands on me too. So I don't know. I mean, so I'm really not sure all the different factions I work for.
From what I've been receiving from the Pleiadians and the Galactic Council, they've said, the Mayan, the change of the year from 2012, that we've gone into this place now in the universe where we are in a much higher frequency. And so we as humans, all of the beings around us, all of the galactic brothers and sisters are also going through this major gear shift to a higher frequency. And the master teachers have explained to me that we are now being guided by the Pleiadians. They are supposed to be responsible for the fifth dimension of Earth, which is the dimension of unconditional love. And that all of the beings that we're interacting with, whether they're 5 different groups or 170,000 different groups, that all of these groups are now shifting to this higher frequency. And it's actually already happened on the 11th or 22nd dimension, and now it's just basically trickling down to us. So in terms of the future and in terms of what you understand happening, do you see that there is just this movement now towards pure light and towards unconditional love, and so many of these factions are now beginning to change?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've of course, the future isn't written in stone. I mean, there's free will choice. I mean, between both of us, we could decide to say the heck with everything. We'll just give up the disclosure movement, and if all the other light workers decide to do the same thing, then the New World Order will run us all over. But the energetics of the planet have changed. That's true. So that's not going to happen, because on a vibrational frequency, the old system won't resonate with us. But like I said, there is still free will, and that gives us an opportunity. The more people that come forward, the faster this disclosure can come through, can come out. And it'll be great if the world knew about super soldiers and that this mind control stuff is going on. But it's more important that free energy comes out. The NESARA is announced. We can go back to gold back or bullion back currency. where the banks are not allowed to rape the planet anymore. I mean, that's really what we really need. But either way, I think all of it's going to come out at the same time. I've had people remote view into the future. They all see 2014 looking pretty bad. But once the system crashes and falls, we're going to have something so much better. We're going to have it gets so much better so fast. It just boom, 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 and it keeps coming. Oh, I mean, just so much. We're going to be so busy, us light workers, well, not just really all of humanity, trying to rebuild this planet because everything's been trashed. This planet has been trashed so much, and it's kind of funny. I mentioned about trash. I had my friend. He channeled these ETs. Because I was using my I guess it comes where the NeoCube is. I was using my NeoCube to have him hack into like the alien like the computers on the alien motherships to get information, and the ETs like took I don't know, channeled him or took him over or sent a telepathic message, and they were all concerned. They were wondering. They were asking me if I was going to trash their planet. They were so concerned because we have such a horrible reputation here on planet Earth, that they're all worried, they don't want nothing to do with us because they think that we're going to trash their well, I guess they think it's their universe, but it's really all our universe because all of us are fragments of God.
Yeah, we have a bad reputation in the universe, right? So please tell us about this amazing NeoCube. How does it work? What is it made of? What does it do?
Okay. Well, the cube has cone panels on each one of these walls, and they're made out of copper, mostly. And but basically, the copper is mostly just for the energetics. The cube gets its energy from the shape. Of course, the cube is sacred geometry, and then the cones inside here, which I don't really have a picture to show you, but you kind of have to imagine they're basically about 1-inch spikes, and there's about 50 of them on each side, and they harness chi energy. Anything that's cone or pyramid shaped creates chi, so it's power. It has a ZPE energy source, and that chi is pumped into the core of the unit, which contains multiple layers of metals, human hair, crystal powders, and a few other things in there. But
what are those few other things? Can you tell us what the few other things are as well?
Well, I'd rather not.
Undisclosed?
Yeah, it's proprietary.
Wow, okay. Is there any anything that is off planet, or is it all from this planet?
This technology was channeled from the Guardians of the Galactic Federation of Light, and normally the ETs do not release any technology to humanity because of the law of non-interference, but because our free will has been interfered with so much by the cabal, again, what I was saying earlier with the time travel technology and so on and so on, they decided to release this technology, and it's a very low-tech way of raising your consciousness, and that's basically what it is. Because I'm thinking, like we mentioned, it's meant to be used while meditating. I don't know if I even said that, but you put it on your lap while meditating. Studies have shown you need to meditate. Well, I'd say you don't need to, but ideally you should meditate at least 10 to 11 minutes a day, to the point where you can get yourself relaxed. That's all you really, to get the full effects of meditation, it's all you need to do. And the cube helps accelerate that because the human hair component is a DNA interface, and DNA is has crystals in it, and anything crystalline can open up interdimensional portals to other dimensions and realities where anything you already want already exists, because we live in a multidimensional universe, and all you have to do is simply think something into being, because God is thought, consciousness, and conscious energy is what God is, and just by thinking something you manifest through your own power of God within. So you have to actually open up portals, not only your pineal gland, the Stargate, your pineal gland, but the Stargate through DNA could do it, crystals, and of course that's why a lot of people meditate or into crystals, but and
I've noticed you also use the cube when you're doing regressions as well with people.
Yeah, if they want, I use it just like to clear the energy field. A lot of times I added that part out of the regression just to keep it kind of, because a lot of them are so long, and I just try to keep it all simple as much as I can. But yeah, you can use it for regressions. You can use it for remote viewing. You can use it for manifestation.
So it's
You can
actually
use it to just
amplifying your ability as well. It's amplifying your intuition or your wisdom as well.
yeah. Okay, because remember I just told you earlier that the cubes have these spikes, these
Hmm.
copper spikes on each one of the sides. Well, that's chi energy, and chi, of course, is life force energy. And anything that produces extra chi or life force is going to help amplify that effect that you just mentioned, manifestation.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's
And
so. No,
how do people get the
what?
cube?
Oh,
How,
good question. Go to neologicaltech.com, and that's NEOLOGICALTECH.
so
Yeah,
I'm
so
gonna
go check
I'm
that
gonna
out.
get a cube from you, and I will report back, and hopefully we can do another interview with you one day, and I will share with you my experiences using the cube.
Okay.
I'll be interested to see if while I'm channeling what happens. Um, are you are you comfortable with me using it on camera if I
Yeah.
record it? Yeah, I
Yeah,
can do
let's do
that.
it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, super.
It I won't be too embarrassed if something weird happens. Plus I'm kind of used to the weird by now, so we'll actually have something in common. We'll both be in the same boat. So
Right.
it'll be an interesting experience.
So to wrap up, let me just ask you, because my work is also with the Pleiadians, is what has been your experience of Pleiadians, and how do you see them physically, and do you have any, just like when you're meditating, or do they ever come to you just in this particular body that you're habitating now?
No, but they might have, but not told me. But like I said, they can walk down the street, and you wouldn't even know because they look just like us.
Right.
So I can't really say that they actually one contacted me particularly, but I've done so many regressions with different people that I have them contact their spirit. I'm sorry, their ET star family, and a lot of them end up going to the Pleiades over and over again. So a lot of us are connected to the Pleiades. I don't know what percentage of the population there is on this planet, but um, we definitely have our brothers and sisters, and they are us. We're all connected. So when disclosure happens, we can all get to know them finally and freely, hopefully.
Okay. So thank you so much for talking with us, and please give us a goodbye that we can share
Oh
with.
yeah,
Yeah.
and also Oh yeah, I also go to supersoldiertalk.com to listen to the regressions. I don't think I mentioned that. As far as a goodbye message, I don't know. I guess just um, keep staying positive. Again, all we really us like workers really have is prayer. I mean, because the dark side has all this advanced technology, and but we can overcome that. We don't have to have all their money. We don't have to have any money. We don't even have to have their weapons. All we have to do is use the power of consciousness energy, and we can shift our reality into to become whatever we like. And that's like I think the biggest one of the biggest secrets.
And
There
also,
you go.
like you said, the benevolent alien races are also much, much more powerful and are assisting the people of Earth to liberate and to find our own inner light, our own ascension. So I think that if we just also remember that there's so much support for us right now on so many different levels. So thank you so much, and supersoldiertalk.com, and folks, please look for all of you've got so many videos, so many thousands of hours of videos under Super Soldier Talk on YouTube, and I really encourage you to open your minds and to go out there and see what's going on, because reality is really, really expanding, and we have so much to learn. So thanks so much, James, and we'll
Thank you,
hopefully
Susie.
speak to you soon. Thank you.
All right.